Hi there, and welcome to the 606 Jazz Club Online. My name's Barnaby Dickinson, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. Sammy Mayne. Now, Sammy and I have played all over the world together, and I love this guy's playing. He plays some absolutely incredible bebop, and I can't wait to ask him all about it. So, hi Sam, thanks for coming down.
Hi Barney, thanks a lot. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Cheers. Well, the first thing, shall we do some playing?
Yeah, sure.
Great. So firstly, I'd like to ask you what I've asked all my guests, is what age were you when you first got into music and playing?
Well, I was age 9, and I can't remember, but apparently I was asking my dad every Christmas for a saxophone, and finally he gave in. And I remember him, because my dad was a musician, he was a trumpet player and he did it professionally, so he had a lot of jazz records when I was younger. But I remember when I was younger thinking that they were quite boring, you know, not being that into it because I didn't understand it and I was young.
Yeah.
So, and then he was
How
like...
old were you then?
Well, I mean, through 7 or 8, I know he used to play me Miles Davis and all this and all that, and you know, I did used to find it boring. But yeah, apparently at 9 he eventually caved in and was willing to get me a saxophone, and he asked me which one do I want, alto or tenor, and he had loads of Charlie Parker records, and so he played me some Charlie Parker, and I was like, oh, I want an alto, and it was a bit the cheaper one as well, so I felt a little less guilty. Now he's like, you know, he's always been one of my favourite and biggest idols, is where most saxophone and alto players, you know, they always say Charlie Parker, and no one else has played like him, and it's hard to describe, but you know, he's just a unique force on the saxophone, and he's just got, you know, really exciting and you know, really weird sort of, you know, melodic, you know, and syncopated lines and things, you know.
And so what were your lessons like at school then? So once you got this instrument, how was your teaching then?
Well, yeah, I didn't have lessons at school. I had private tuition off a guy who was in the BBC radio band for about 2 years, and my dad used to, and so he just taught me the basics of you know, playing the saxophone, and my dad sort of taught me how to play jazz. Really, you know, we'd have, you know, Jamie Ansell play-alongs on, and he, you know, made me a soundproof room, and yeah, we used to just play alongs, you know, and he'd always sort of, you know, encourage me and criticise me as well.
while you're playing along to these Jamie Uber songs and things, are you just doing it all by ear, were you? Or was your dad giving you that?
Yeah, my dad was sort of playing by ear, and he didn't really sort of, I mean, he would just sort of tell me, you know, what sounded good and what didn't sound good, but yeah, I was just trying to, like most people when they're learning, trying to run before I walk a lot, and you know, didn't really know about what 2/5s were for ages, you know, but I'd still be playing over them, but knowing the scale, but not really going, you know, 2/5.
Yeah, it's the same. So when do you think that sort of it started being more formal? Sort of?
Well, yeah, I think probably until I was about 15, and then I had a residency playing jazz. I can't believe it. I know it must have been, you know, I used to get a good crowd. It must have been, you know, pretty ropey.
You did something right.
Well, I wouldn't like to hear it back, but yeah, I did that, and then I remember, you know, I used to get guests with me. You do it as a quintet, and Simon Finch used to do it. Don Glover used to do it now and again. Jim Watson used to do it and stuff, and then yeah, I started to sort of think, you know, I should get a lot of my theory more into, you know, my playing and know, you know, practice 2/5s, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah.
So did you learn a lot of tunes at that time?
Yeah, I learned a lot of tunes just from playing Ambersolds, really. And yeah.
And then when did you? How old were you when you went? Because you went to the Royal Academy, didn't you?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 19. I auditioned when I was 18, and I didn't get in. And so I took a year out. And
what was that audition like? Do you remember the one that you didn't get in? What was that?
Kind of. I remember trying to just play really fast and being really flashy, and yeah. And I remember Martin Speake was there, and he was very encouraging, saying, you know, it's sounding good and stuff. But I don't know, maybe I certainly wasn't improvising very well at that age. You know, I was just trying to be really flash and play fast and things like that.
So then, when you came to re-audition the year later, what do you think you did differently?
Well, yeah, I sort of knew to sort of go with a more sort of improvisational approach, you know, and not just you know, just play all my big licks and, you know, try and be impressive, and you know, and I think, you know, I matured a bit in that year, and so was playing a little bit more melodical and obviously better as well because I had a year's practice.
Yeah,
so,
of course. Yeah. And who were you were 4 years at the Royal Academy. Who were your main sort of saxophone teachers there?
Well, I had Martin Speake for 2 years, and he was great. He knows loads of stuff, and a lot of it was way above my head. You know, to go back, I you know, obviously you need to learn the meat and potatoes yourself. But I wish I got a bit more of a push in the basics rather than you know, melodic minor modes and things like that, which I, you know, still went above my head. So,
sure. When you see beginners sort of first starting out improvising, do you notice any sort of common errors that they do that maybe you could pinpoint?
Well, not really. I mean, I guess, confidence is a big part of it. But, I mean, I know when I started improvising, you know, I was just trying to play fast, basically. And obviously I probably, what I was playing probably wasn't very nice. But even still, I mean, it's good to make mistakes, and it's good to even whatever you do. I don't think there's any wrong way to start improvising. I think it's good just to do it, and you know, I learned great facility from trying to play fast, and then you know, and you always work as long as you're listening and have an idea of the sound you want to make and the feel you want to put forward. Sure. Then you know, whatever you play doesn't matter. I think it's good to be encouraged and be confident rather than be scared. Yeah, I used to a lot more than I do now, and I should do it again. But yeah, I remember playing along with a metronome and having the metronome click on beats 2 and 4, and then playing over a tune with the click on 2 and 4, and finding that really hard. Actually, I don't know if I'd like to do it now, to be honest. But you know, especially at fast tempos. But I did work on that. Yeah. Well, I guess for me personally, I like them to. Well, you've got to all be playing together, and I guess they're accompanying me. But I'd like obviously to interact with what I'm playing, and you know, and it feeds. You can feed you ideas to play if they play something. So, I mean, I know now when I approach playing, I try and be a lot more improvisational, especially at the start of a chorus, playing, trying to do some melodic development, and rather than give everything away straight away and giving out all my big licks. So instead of pace yourself, and I have to really push myself to do it, because I quite often just go overboard too fast and then run out of all my ideas. And I enjoy listening to players that do that, especially like Seamus Blake. He's great at doing that. Start off, do loads of motivic development, and he can do anything and go anywhere, and so then that pulls in the rhythm section as well, because they've got space and time, and they can kind of take them more on a journey. I've got a Mark 6. I think they're probably the most popular of vintage horns, but they're quite expensive these days, and I think most people are starting to veer away from them, because they're not the be and end all for certain. But it's a Mark 6, and I've got an old Mayer mouthpiece, so it's a pretty sort of classic alto setup.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And what reed?
Oh right. Size 3. V16 Van Dorn V16s, and the lay of this mouthpiece is a 6 medium. And I've just recently come off quite a modern mouthpiece and gone back to an old one, and it's I'm not looking back. It's great, going back on the old Mayer.
Great.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I remember maybe when I was 18 or 19, the biggest thing that I started practicing that really started showing results very quickly and changing my playing to make it more, beboppy or jazzy or melodic or anything melodically or whatever, was just practicing 2/5 licks in all keys. Made a vast improvement over a quick time period.
Right. Can you remember, was there one particular lick that you used to?
Well, I remember the first one that I did. I took it down. It was just a 2-bar phrase. It was Vincent Herring, and it just it was.
Wow, because that's amazingly fast. Did you start that slow and build?
Sure. I mean, it took a while to get it all in all the keys. I'm struggling now because it's been a while since I've done it in all the keys. But yeah, and then just all the stock phrases. Obviously.
Getting them down, starting them slow, building it up.
Yeah.
So I wondered if you could tell us a bit about enclosure, and because you use a lot of that, don't you? Yeah,
well, it's just basically playing a semitone below or above, or even a tone, it doesn't matter, or just any passing note, but landing on the, start off with the guide tone, landing on the guide tone, and it just really pronounces the guide tone more,
Okay, so like a note under, note over or something, and then hitting either the root, the third, the fifth, or the seventh, or is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Sure. So if I hold down like a D minor chord, wow, and then up to speed. It's amazing, adding that sort of chromaticism into the thing. Just sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and also you don't have to just do it on the guide tones. You can do it in the extensions or just the scale. So you play the chord again. So.
And then you can do that on dominant chords as well?
Yeah, do the same thing on
G7. And on the 1 chord, C major 7. And so together, let's do the 2-5.
Okay.
D minor 7, G7, C major 7 for 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, it sounds amazing. So also, what I notice in your playing, you use a lot of the diminished scale. I can hear a lot of diminished sounds. I wondered how you went about practicing that.
Yeah, well, much the same way as anything else, I guess. I mean, the diminished sound, use it over a dominant chord and adds a lot of tension, and it can, and because it's, you can get so much from the diminished scale. It's a symmetrical scale, and it can really free up your playing,
Yeah. For those that don't know, the diminished scale is basically, there's only 3 of them, which is brilliant because it's based on the minor thirds. And on a diminished chord, you start with a tone, semitone, tone, semitone, tone, semitone. And on a dominant chord, you can play it on a 5 chord that resolves to the 1 chord, which you'll start with a semitone, then a tone. So semitone, tone, semitone, tone, semitone, which obviously will work out to be the same scale. So in this case, maybe we could do G7, and we'll use a semitone, tone, semitone, tone, which the actual extensions are a 13, a natural 13th with a flattened ninth. So
I mean, just to say as well, I mean, it's great using enclosures on the diminished scale because it's so symmetrical, and you can play chromatically just going down the scale. So. But you have to keep repeating the note to sort of keep it in 4 times. So you can add another note, say a 4th up. So what I'll be doing is going. You can add a chromaticism in there as well, but always land on the guide-tones of the diminished scale.
Of the diminished scale.
Yeah.
So can you show us what that might sound like if I play G7, 13 flat 9?
Yeah.
Which resolves to the...
Yeah.
So let's play a 2-5-1 progression, and then play the diminished scale on the 5 chord.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Right, yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I know another thing that you can do with that is when you sustain, so you'll play 2 bars of the G7 while I've resolved to the C, which holds that tension in your line and then resolves it a bar later. Do you want to try that?
Okay, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. That sounds great. So I'll explain that again. What Sam just did was we were playing D minor, the 2 chord, going to the 5 chord, which is G7, 13, flat 9, and Sam was sustaining that sound, that diminished scale, even though I'd resolved to the 1 chord, the C major 7, and then he was resolving it on the 4th bar, basically, which sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Also, you were saying that you play it a lot on the 1 chord as well.
Yeah.
So while I'm playing C major 7, you're playing C diminished.
Yeah.
And then resolving that to the C major 7. So because it's a diminished chord, we're starting with tone, semitone, tone, semitone, tone, semitone. Do you want to demonstrate that?
Yeah.
So I'll play a C diminished. So that's with me playing the diminished. Now I'll just play the normal one chord, and Sam will play the diminished and then resolve to the one chord. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. So now let's play the whole 2/5 and hear that sound going on the one chord now. A 1, 2, 3. Right, I mean that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So can you demonstrate for us putting the diminished on the 1 chord and the 5 chord on the 2/5 sequence? Shall we try that?
Okay.
A 1, 2, D, da. Great.
Right.
Yeah, perfect. So the beautiful thing, as I said, about the diminished scale is that it's built up on the minor thirds. So, which is what is called the diminished access.
Yeah, that's what they said. I remember being learnt at college. Yeah, diminished access or the Bartok series or something.
When we were hanging out with Bartok, it was, he was telling us all about this.
Yeah.
But basically, it's built up on the minor thirds. So that means that whatever you're playing over the G7 13 flat 9, that diminished scale, also fits over a minor third up, B flat 7 13 flat 9. Also a minor third up from that, D flat 7 13 flat 9, and then all, which is the tritone, and then also another minor third up from D flat, which is E. So E7 13 flat 9. So basically, once you get a lick down or get that scale down, suddenly you can apply it on different dominant chords. The tune that we started with, Ladybird, has that in. So at the moment we're playing D minor G7 to C major 7. In this tune we also went F minor, B flat 7, resolving to C major 7, which basically we're saying is the same sort of thing.
But I could play as though those were if you was playing a normal 2/5, I could play the minor third up.
I see. So even while I'm playing the D minor,
Yeah.
you're playing F minor
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Or when I'm playing G7 13 flat 9, you can be playing the B flat because
Yeah.
it's the same.
Well,
it's the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah.
It's a nice way of thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, like a good Charlie Parker album that I love. I got it as a double album, and it's live at Birdland and live at Cafes Society, I think. And yeah, it's just loads of
good stuff.
loads of good stuff. And I guess yeah, a good Miles Davis one. Is it the 58 sessions or something? It's called Stella by Starlight, and it's got Cannibal Coltrane on it.
Right.
And they do a couple of live tunes at the end that are really fantastic.
And one more, is it?
Maybe like Freddie Hubbard, Going Up. I really like that album.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So, Sam, thank you so much for coming down. It's been absolutely amazing.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Barney.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you.